Hello, dear subscribers of World Briefing. Welcome to another edition of World Briefing Plus. This is Saturday, and that can mean only thing. This is the special insight video that I do for you, dear paid subscribers, every week. Let me start with the following. The United States has never looked weaker, and Iran has rarely looked stronger. That's after the signing of a memorandum of understanding, not a ceasefire, between Tehran and the United States. That is valid for 60 days and is supposed to restore full shipping through the choke point of the Strait of Hormuz toll-free. That seems to have collapsed today after Israel attacked Lebanon. Again, the Iranians, which see the situation of Lebanon as part of the peace deal, or peace, whatever you want to call it, central to whatever they signed, but that's not happening because it looks like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pretty much said, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm not going to pay attention to Donald Trump and his threats. And, there's concern in his circle, which is basically a loose coalition, that if he doesn't act tough and stand up to Hezbollah, a Iranian proxy in Lebanon, and their strikes into northern Israel, well, all hell is going to break loose for him too. So that's where we are right now. Vice President J.D. Vance is reported to be on his way to Switzerland, where he will formally sign the agreement with the clerics from Iran. And there'll be further talks, but I have my doubts whether this thing can hold. And it looks like the Iranians have come out of this deal a lot better than the Americans, in the sense that they don't have to give up any nuclear materials. They get sanctions unfrozen. They get a lot of cash back. And most importantly, and of concern to a lot of us, especially those who have to fly or fill up their gas tanks, they pretty much retain control over the Strait of Hormuz, and I have a feeling that they're going to continue charging tolls there. Let's move on to Ukraine. Lots happening in the past week, of course. Ukraine made incredible strikes in Moscow and St. Petersburg, further damaging Russia's oil infrastructure, the very same infrastructure that funds Putin's war in Ukraine. There are reports of gas shortages everywhere from Crimea, lineups there, all the way to remote parts of Russia. It is not going well. And just in the past 24 hours, President Zelensky has warned his people to prepare for massive Russian retaliation. And indeed, Russian officials have said it's going to be really nasty this time. So on the one hand, yes, very impressive what Ukraine can do. And in fact, there are reports that it used several of its new Flamingo long-range missiles to strike far into Russia. That it does invite a lot of retaliation. And this is very, very tough on the Ukrainian people, especially those living in Kiev. And I do continue to wonder, as I've been saying all along my speaking tour here in Canada, is that we do have to pay attention to the demographic hollowing out of Ukraine. Millions have left, and I'm afraid if strikes continue, more will leave at a time when Ukraine can ill afford to give up any more people. And in fact, by the end of next week, there'll be the Ukraine Reconstruction Conference in Gdansk, Poland. I think it's number 6 or 7. On that, a couple of things. Once again, the reconstruction of the crucial media sector in Ukraine is not on the agenda, despite the media sector and others lobbying the Kiev to put it on there. Because look at it this way, I'll put it very simply. In order for the massive investment to come into Ukraine, which is expected when the war ends, businesses need reassurance. They need good information. They also need to know that they're entering a country where there's a check on corruption. And who better to do those two things, provide information, credible, independent information, and keep a check on corruption, than the media sector. It's been battered very badly. A new survey tells us that there's a huge manpower shortage, that a lot of media outlets, especially in the regions, are lacking money because there's no advertising. A lot of manpower is not there because they've either been drafted, gone to the front line to volunteer, or they're volunteering otherwise, or they've left Ukraine, or they've been killed or severely injured. So it is a mess, but it's something that the Zelensky government, which has rarely been seen as a friend of the media, is totally ignoring. Speaking of Poland and Ukraine, interesting developments. The Polish president has said he's stripping Volodymyr Zelensky and three of our other officials of a Polish award for bravery and human rights and other things because President Zelensky has named one of the units of the Ukrainian armed forces after OPA, the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, something the Poles don't like because they claim that this army inflicted massive pain on the on Poland and on Polish people. And I think this falls into kind of a pattern of Polish-Ukrainian relations where Poland thinks it can get pretty tough on Ukrainians, whether it's not really forcing farmers to open up border blockages. Since the war started, they've blocked borders into Ukraine because they feel that they can't compete with Ukrainian farmers. They've given Ukrainian journalists a tough time. And there are also reports that ordinary Ukrainians in Poland, of which there are many, are facing humiliation, assaults, just really bad treatment. So it doesn't really surprise me, and I think it shows their hand pretty well. Now, Poland does say we'll continue to support Ukraine, but it's another step upon a pattern that is not too palatable for the Ukrainians. Also in War Briefing this week, shame on you, Canada. The Minister of Immigration has revoked the citizenship of many people who have been able to prove that they have some bloodline connection to Canada. Now, it's not because they didn't provide the proper information or they're accused of forgery, none of that. It's because Ottawa has changed the goalposts. I'm not going to get into the details. You can read more about it on War Briefing. The really point I wanted to make here is what good is our word? As a nation in decline, we're now a middle power at best if we can't even honor our word. I mean, giving citizenship to somebody is a big, big deal. On top of the fact that when they do that, say they're coming from the United States, which many are, they sell their property, they say goodbye, they give up ties there, and they come here, and then shortly afterwards they're told to give it back. This is the same Canadian ministry, which is short on resources. They have a huge backup of applications. They don't really have the resources to litigate this. And if those who are stripped of citizenship do decide to litigate, it's going to be a long, embarrassing process for Ottawa. Finally, World Cup is happening. The reports of disruption and also of massively expensive ticket costs continue, especially here in British Columbia. It does appear to be a game that is designed really for elites or for people with money. And there's continue to be concerns about how much taxpayer money has gone to pay for this thing. The budget here in British Columbia tripling. But overall, I mean, the fan zones are fun. I visited one and people are really into this. So that is all good. And I'm going to be hitting the road again in a few days. I won't tell you where right now, but you'll see, to give you more frontline reporting on the World Cup and other big issues. Because that is the last point I wanted to make here, is that we're homeless. The world is our newsroom, and we want to be on the front lines of big events and issues that are of concern to you. And I really would love to hear from you on the future direction of World Briefing, whether you think we should do more analysis, whether you think we should have more positive news, because I hear a lot that people are switching off from the news. They find it depresses them, and I don't really blame them. So if we in any way can change that, to make you all happier or more engaged and interested, let me know, and certainly happy to consider all that. Thank you so much once again for your support of World Briefing. It means a lot to me and my little team, my small team. And if you know of anybody who you think could benefit from a subscription, I would be over the moon if you could pass the word along. Everyone stay safe, and I will see you in a few days' time. Bye-bye.